Alrighty, here we go. I think I just posted. Did it go? No, it's not quite there yet. Not quite, because Instagram is... There we go. Alright, there we go. Alright, here we go. Where is my pen? Here's my pen. All right. So we are going to be doing a cute little floof comic today. My tablet is like a little bit more vertical than normal, and it is totally not resting on happy, so adjust. But I kind of like how vertical it is because it's keeping me a little bit more vertical. But it's also kind of... So we'll see. Actually, I think I'm going to have to... There we go. Have to adjust that just a smidge. And I want to also be sure my levels here... Okay, good. My levels are not cooked. Alright, so this one I came up with, and it is... Oops. A little floof. It's going to be a 2, 3, and then a full panel 1. So I'm thinking that, because I have it sketched on my little notepad here, and I'm thinking I might do little, I have to fit a lot on these 2 forward panels. I'm going to make them, oops. Oh, that just made me want to experiment. What if I... No, I think that would trump the, yeah, because I'm thinking like, what if I did like a fun little different type of format on my frames, but the reading I think would probably, because this is longer, I think you'd go down here instead of here. So yeah, we don't want to do that. However, I do want to make these a little longer. Center, and then I'm going to do a 3-up, which is going to be square. And this is just the planning stage of my layout. Hey, I got that pretty spot on, didn't I? Darn it. Let's do the true test. Oh, well. Okay, I'm gonna make these a little bit smaller, and because I do need room for text. All right, so actually, yeah, this will be about right. Maybe just a smidge more like this, because I do have are they your little floof or a big floof? Just remember, it's okay to ask for help. So there we go. So this is going to start out. So these floofs in the foreground are going to be crafting and doing all this cool stuff. And this one's going to have like a flower crown on. But in the background, I'm thinking this is going to be, I'm going to make it out of focus. Perhaps maybe I'll overlay maybe a little bit, maybe I'll keep this kind of dim here, because in the background what's going to be important is this little floof. He's peeking out. He's peeking out and watching them from behind this hedge. They're just doing all this great stuff. And then he comes over here, and we now switch to the floof's point of view. He doesn't know what to do. He wants to make a leaf something. He just doesn't know what to do. And then I'm going to come in here. And we're going to do a close-up on his face. And maybe his hand will be out, because this one is going to be like, come with me. And then Big Floof is going to be like, would you help my friend? He's gonna be like, I don't know. guys would be like, of course! We are happy to help. Welcome in with open arms. And then the final is going to be the group of crafty floofs helping little floof make something. Maybe you'll have a full outfit on. Maybe you'll have a nice little floofy costume and make a little flower crown. Happy ones. Maybe this one will be helping a little bit. And up here I'm going to have and this guy is like, I don't know how to make. Oh, that's perfect. Now I can group things, and I'll adjust this layout once I get the Kleenex. Kleenexes are important. I'll adjust this layout once I get the text put in and some of these frames finalized. I know this can be bigger. I think it'll work out. Okay, here we go. Shoot, 30%. Let's make a new layer. So usually, God, I need to. You know what? I'm going to do a little B-roll as I'm filming right now, as I'm streaming. Let me just do this. For 3 seconds. And now let's do layer. Okay, so I want to do a behind the scenes short video on kind of condensing this whole stream into, I always forget to look at the camera here. I'm talking to myself on OBS, or actually talking to chat right here, which is right here instead of right here. I want to condense all of this into a short video showing how I go through and make a comic from start to finish. So the absolute start is what you see right here. I've written my text out right here, and then I did a note on what I think the frame structure will be, and then I broke down the frames into just little rough sketches there. All right, and so now once I have all of that mapped out, I come into my main okay, I've got a little bit too much. Trying to get some of the smudging and fur off of my tablet. There we go. Oh wait. Okay, good. And what I like to do is, it may seem redundant or silly that I draw my frames out every single time, but I just kind of like it, and I kind of like formatting every comic individually. Also, I have tried to save these different standard frames, like a 3-up or a 2-up or a wide frame. I've tried to save them as in my library, and I've always found that no matter what, I have to go in and edit it anyway. It's just not quite right for the, you know, the comic that I'm working on. So, okay, just, you know, draw it every time. Ah! Whoops. Did I not grip those? Alright. So in here I should have 2 individual groups of 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. There we go. And now I can center this. Boop, right there. And now I can ungroup. And what I also like to do is when I'm in the framing mode, I like to go in and she's hugging her face. It's funny that she loves the heating pad, but she oftentimes is only like a small percentage actually on it. And I know when she's really cold, she goes and she sleeps in her Twinkie bed. And it's kind of off over over this direction. But yeah, that's how you know it's cold here, is when she goes and sleeps in her Twinkie bed. And it does look like a little Twinkie. A little yellow with a, like a soft, fleecy Sherpa, whatever. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and go in here and just drop this down too, so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Ah. All right, group. All right, so now all of my frames are done, and they're centered on my, there we go. They're centered on my page, so now I can, this is a working title. I'm not quite sure if I want to keep this one. It was originally called A Little Help, but then I realized I had already made a comic with that title in the last couple of months. It was a Granny Bear one, and that was where they were, they didn't have enough apples to make everything on their baking list. And the floofs got wind of it, and so they stampede through with a bunch of extra apples and of course helping hands. So I was like, oh yeah, I named that one that title, so I can't exactly do another one of the same title. It'll overwrite my file. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add my text. And it's a little bit on the small side, so we're going to make it bigger. Whether you're a little floof or a big floof. Okay to ask for help. There we go. Alright, asking for help. Whether you're a big floof or a little floof, remember, especially when learning something new, it's okay to ask for help. Oftentimes. Did I center everything? Perhaps, perhaps not. And then I centered on each other and not on the canvas. That's a quick little thing that I just bumped through, didn't I? Alright, so another of my shortcuts that I do is I always am paying attention to the align to, because oftentimes it bumps to object oriented versus canvas oriented. So that's how you can change it right here when you're on the align menu. This is aligned artboard, aligned to selection, which means just the 3 items that will align to each other. Different uses, that is very valuable, but in general when I'm trying to make a page or a comic, I want it to align to the canvas. You know what, I'm going to change, comma, I'm going to put an I'm going to put the ellipses here. I feel like the comma, the side note, especially comma, especially when learning something new, comma, it's okay to ask for. feel like that's a good reminder. All right, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go again. Now I'm gonna have to listen to that song. Not a bad thing. What was that, salt and pepper? Okay. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Again, girls, not They're making Halloween costumes. And this one wants to make his own, but he doesn't know how. Don't know how to make. Oh, shoot. That on my monitor so I will remember. I just remembered I had an email conversation going with a customer. They wanted a special poster print, and I totally forgot to send that invoice, and yeah, so I gotta do that. And I felt like I was forgetting something, and I'm looking at my list every night before I shut things down, and it wasn't on it. So hey Aiden, welcome to the stream. I'm doing fine. How are you today? This one's making a little set of wings, I think. Wait a minute. So if he did here, back here. No, I think it should be here. So if he did this stitch and then back stitch here, back over here, and then up here, that would be, no, that's backwards, isn't it? Or should this little, the little thread be pulled from the edge? Because it's pulling from the back of the wing thing that he's making. What is the name of that font? This font right here is called, it's KG, which is Kimberly Gershwine. It's called KG Turning Tables, and this one is KG Second Chances. It's Kimberly Geswein, I believe. Let me double check that. Geswein. And she sells all of her fonts on, let's see. I think she does it on our website. I think they may also be listed. Oh my God, I love this teacher created collection. Is this new? Oh gosh, this brings back so many memories. Oh, that's another cute one. Perfect penmanship. I believe that these are 15. They're really reasonably priced for general use. And then of course, as you scale up, like if you want to use them, embed them in applications and those type of deals, it goes up from there. These are pretty old. I've been using these for years, so I've got to go back a little bit, I think. Oh, she's released so many other good ones. Blank Space, and is this Blank Space or set? No, it's Second Chances, but it's close to Blank Space. There it is. Solid and Sketch. Regular desktop is 15, and then EPUB licensing 15. Then actually this is pretty, I mean, application wide, server wide, 400. I mean, oh yeah, she made it in 2013. But yeah. Those are those. Yeah, I would explore all of her fonts because they're just, I really loved how playful they were, and I was looking for something, you can actually see this in, oh, did I preserve that in book one? I think I did. I don't want to disturb coconut. There we go. I think I preserved it in book one, yes. So in my first graphic novel, it's organized roughly with the oldest stuff first, and then I go into the more, I finally I'll say it this way. I finally settled on what fonts I wanted to use for the comics. I found a title font and then a narration and dialogue, etc. font, and that was these two, and so you can see that appear later in the book. But yeah, so you can see my struggles with trying to find that in the actual graphic novels and the comics as I was making them. I didn't want to use Comic Sans because it was too sloppy, and I wanted something that looked like handwriting but was still nicely legible. And this one, let me just zoom in, you can kind of see it's a little bit distressed here, but just a touch, so it just looks like it was made with a pencil or maybe a rough ballpoint pen. So that's the style I was looking for. There's another big font repository, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, and it's focused on comic book stuff, like especially sound effect fonts and dialogue narration level type fonts as well. And all of them are really nice. Darn it. What's the name of that? Comic Book Font Factory? That's not what it is, but that might lead me there. Comic Craft, yes! Yes, there we go. Okay. Oh, well, that's easy to remember. It's comicbookfonts.com. And they have things divided up by word balloons, sound effects, character voices, display fonts, which are kind of like, you know, bam, pow, like a little bit more sound effecty, but, you know, a little bit different. Yeah, they had, I think I got this one from Pezzarama. He does a lot of comic book cover coloring and illustration. So I believe I got this from one of his streams when he was working on a comic cover. But yeah, super, super cool set of fonts there, and they're also quite reasonably priced as well. Let me look in here. It looks like they have packs as well. Let me just look at the word balloon stuff. Yeah, if you're looking at one font there, 140, and I think that's a general license. Waxly Wabbit. Let's look at that one. Desktop and base web font, not too bad. Add-on website page views. Ah, interesting. I guess that you have to. Okay, here's extended licensing. Distributor type network for app and game embedding, enterprise licensing, server installation. I'm guessing if you're looking for print, it would fall under that, but I'd have to read into that a little bit more. Dee, hello, welcome to the stream. Web fonts for the website, unsure the context. Oh yeah, no, Aiden was just asking what the font I use right here. And I linked to Kimberly Geschwein fonts. She has a lot of really beautiful and fun hand-drawn fonts like this. And so I was just also talking about kind of my journey to finding what font I wanted to use for my comics. And it was a little bit of a struggle settling on something. I'm kind of going to tip this floof. Because I want him to be considering what he's making. Yeah, I really like it too. I mean, I was saying earlier that, you know, I had originally went for, you know, Comic Sans, but it was a little bit too sloppy, and I didn't like how it looked with the comics. And then I was experimenting with a few other of Kimberly's fonts, and they didn't quite seem right either. And it was only when I came upon this one, and then I paired it with this as the title font, that it really felt right. I mean, and I was also considering at one point in time to make my own font out of my handwriting, but then I kind of liked having my handwriting as sound effect font. And so I usually just hand draw, unless it's something I absolutely want to make sure people read. If it's just a sound effect or something in the background, or like a character's inner monologue, like right here, I'll use this. But otherwise, it's, you know, just my handwriting, you know. And I like the kind of, I like this kind of, I don't know if I call it seasoning or flavoring, but it just kind of makes it, you know, it is 3 different writing styles in one comic, but I think it kind of works. I think I'm going to have to make this crown before I put his paw finishing it. I need to make a connect those two. And this is a little bit of an awkward tangent, so why don't I just make that a little bit less? And I need to connect these because they're kind of a little wonky. And I need to make my point size a little smaller here. Show that I've got these leaves that are coming through. A little bit bigger here. Wait, what? Oh, 14. And I want to have this chaotic fluke in here. With a flower crown. There's always one. Alright, and now, so we've got these guys in the foreground, and I'm going to do this real quick, and I'm going to group them by themselves, because I'm going to do something to... I'm not going to blur them, although that is an option. I want the focus to be on this little guy who's watching from this hedge, from behind this hedge. So I want to be sure that these guys, I can grab them and switch them up when I need to. I'm going to do... some leaves over here because it's a little bit of a Halloween seasonal. I should probably put this in the group of the other characters though. Cut this. I forgot that. Darn it. Oops. Cut this. And go in the group forward. And now I need to do my make. This one needs to be a little more focused. He's excited to make things. He's not zoning out as he's using a needle and a thread because that could be dangerous. Kaizaki, hello! Welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? Just adjusting my earbuds here. Alright. So now let's jump out, and I'm going to make this background element with my character that we're going to be focusing on here in the next several frames. And I'm going to group this together. I may just have this in an overlay a little bit dimmed and the light be on the character behind the hedge. It's going to be a small flute. I can move that make down a little bit. No? Oop. All right. Nice. All right, so this is what I'm thinking. move this up a little bit. You can see him a little bit further away. I haven't saved in ages. That's not a good thing. And now we switch perspectives where, well, yeah, I mean, we spin around and we see our little character, and he's upset that he doesn't know how to make things. I need to put my point size up a little bit more. Go. I'm gonna make his whiskers a little depressed. I always use their whiskers as a cue to reinforce, you know, if I have dialogue or something, just to kind of another visual cue on their feelings. So I'll sometimes make the ears a little bit more flat, or I'll also use the whiskers to indicate if wind is blowing, if it's really, you know, if something atmospheric is going on like rain, their whiskers will be droopy too. It does need to be smaller, but let's make it smaller. I think I don't need that extra little bit there. I just kind of need him going like, maybe he's got a pile of leaves over here because he wants to make something, and he's collected his supplies, but he just doesn't know what to do with them. how to make. And let's move it out. And so that's sort of, I mean, step 1 is drawing the rough sketch, step 2, line art. And once I have a line art section drawn, I like to move out the sketch so I can see, you know, all the line art clearly. Well, hello, my lady. Do you need more heat? We're toasting the other side now. We gotta flip it over. So now Floof is going to be sad because he, you know, doesn't have the courage. I see the hearts in chat. Thank you. And then we're going to get another Floof in here to encourage him and say, hey, would you mind teaching my friend how to make things too? And then he makes all the things. So we need to go into sad Floof here. I don't think I need quite as full of the pen size because it's going to be a close-up. It's 11 here by Christy. Oh, take care, Aiden. Sleep well. Hope you have a good rest and a wonderful day tomorrow. No, I'm not going to put a sad face. I'll just have him, you know, kind of just the scrunchy brows. That's enough, I think. Because you know he's sad and upset that he wants to do something he doesn't know how and he doesn't have the courage to ask. Take care as well. blasting through that. I've got to end the stream in about 30 minutes, so I will most likely get through all of these panels. I just have 3 left. This will be quick. Oh, heck, I was on the wrong layer. Darn it. Alright, well, we're going to fix that here. Now we're going to go back here, and I'm going to grab that, which I drew on the wrong layer. Speaking of layers, let's fix stuff here with the frames. So what I like to do here is I'll pop all of my frames on top of the actual line art, so it's a nice cleanup when I color, because I drop all coloring object inside with the line art, and I use draw behind to drop it onto the bottom of the stack. So it keeps things nice and clean. That way I don't have to be completely, all over these edges and precise. I can have a little wiggle room. All right, so now sure this is right. Maybe I'll tip him over a little bit. some ground cover in there. I forgot to put the little hedge in the background of the other frame. I'll just do a little bit of that here. All right, that one's good. Second to last frame, and we have 20 minutes left, so I'm gonna definitely be able to do this. So this guy's gonna come and introduce little Floof. Please help my friend learn how to make things. Would be super cool of you. And you guys will be like, of course. I want him to be like, I don't know if they'll accept me, not quite sure of himself, because he's leaning forward here. The right layer again. Hi, Floof. So much trouble drawing this side. Gotta make sure the eyes are right, because I want him to be imploring these other floofs. I want you to see that these other floofs are really happy to have a new kind of got it here when I was like that. these little eyebrows that keep on looking at them and not quite right. Great. I always forget. So I keep shrimping. I really kind of want to get one of those harnesses that it just kind of keeps your shoulders back, and especially if I've been drawing for a long amount of time, I can feel the shift. They're delighted. He wants to join them in making something. Alright, now I'm going to drop this line. I'm going to save first, and then I'm going to drop this line of sketch stuff out. And then I'll be on my last one, which is this. Make it a little bit bigger. I don't need that. Ah! I didn't mean to delete the whole darn thing. Just that. There we go. And I have about 10 minutes to do this one, so that'll work out pretty perfectly, I think. Now I definitely need my full regular point size here. Let's group. And I probably don't need any of that because it's all covered by his cape. that. Gotta fix this. It's not quite as it should be. Important for him to not just get the things that he wants, but he has to be shown making. And learning. Almost there. Hey Foxy, welcome to the stream. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. I need this chaotic floof over here that always has the crown on. Maybe he's bringing more leaves. We will change that to be like he's running up behind with more leaves. It's like, I got more leaves. I got more supplies, that's what it is. Right. He's got leaves, and he's got a bunch of thread, a bunch of leaves that you can add to the pile. And the leaves are going to be kind of blowing here. It's running, and I got to make his foot a little better. Clean up these lines a little bit, and I gotta decide what I want in front. So maybe this front leaf is going to be holding all the others. He's got it kind of tucked in his arm. I'm new to your channel, but glad I found it. The cats are your signature kit. Yes. So the kitty you see actually over here, Coconut, she is one of the main characters, and I also have well, 5 main cat characters: Coconut, Momo Cheat, Evil Landlord, Fat Cat, and Tuxie. And then these floofs are a little bit more of, they're a whimsical kind of fluffy cat character. A little bit of rabbit in there. They're a little bit shy. Always crafty, always curious and adventurous. Well, most of the time. I have also Granny Bear. I have, let's see, there's Granny Bear, there's Lady Boop, there's Happy Paper, who's a giant roll of toilet paper. This is a plushie of Momochi. I just, this is actually one of the, well, the first character plushie I made was Happy Paper. And then I released a Momochi, sold out of her. She was originally holding a cupcake, and then I re-released her this summer with a strawberry. And she turned out so good. And then I have Pudge the Pug, who's right here. He likes to write, and he's kind of a philosopher pug. He, you know, shares his journal entries and his thoughts, you know, that he ponders during the day. It is, yes, it is a whole universe. I've got, let's see, grab these. Oh, I'm sorry. Goodness. I've got 5 volumes, actually 6 volumes of comics. And in the back of each is a character bio section. Come on. There we go. Details all the different characters. And let me go this way. You can see there the main cats. That's Coconut. And based off of her right there. And then Tuxie is not currently in the room. And then these guys are based off of cats that are no longer with me, but they were for many, many years wonderful inspirations. That's Momochi. There's Happy Paper. And each of the books has about a little over 100 comics in it. And they're all slice of life comics where mostly are just about 1 page long. And from anything, you know, comedy, I do some slapstick type stuff. It's hard to write comedy though, because I find that, you know, I have a really funny idea and then I have to work on it. And then the more you work on it, you're like, is this really funny or not anymore? And so you start to doubt yourself. And Pudge does a lot more kind of introspective type comics. He struggles with, you know, imposter syndrome. Momochi, she is representative of the artist, and so her comics are oftentimes around growth and trying to learn new things. So are the Floofs. The Floofs, example, this one. Let me zoom out here. Let me just get rid of this. It's my rough sketch. So what you see over here is my rough sketch, kind of laying out the frames and getting the pacing. And then I come over here and I line things, let's see, on a different layer rather. So this one is, it's called Asking for Help. And whether you're a big floof or a little floof, and I show the little floof here, and these other guys are making things. And then he turns to his pile of supplies and he's like, I don't know how to make. And then on the next line I have remember, especially when learning something new. And then you see a little floof, he notices this one, he's not having a good time. He's like, come with me. And then he introduces him to the other floofs and is like, can you help my friend make some stuff? And the last line is, it's okay to ask for help. But yeah, so then they're teaching him, very excited to teach him as well. They're generally uplifting comics. I have a alter ego for Coconut. She, and that's kind of my tribute to Calvin and Hobbes and Spaceman Spiff, how Calvin would imagine himself as this adventurous intergalactic traveler that gets into all of these, you know, sticky situations. And then you cut to real life and it's, you know, the alien monsters are his mother trying to get him to eat his vegetables. So it's kind of that same deal, but Coconut imagines herself as Meowzilla, larger than life, and so she's conquering these obstacles when in reality she's just like looking for a warm place to sleep, or, you know, her favorite stuffy has been put in the wash, that type of deal. Oops. Alright, there we go. Alright, I think this one's done. All I need to do is color, and that shouldn't take me too often. And then we group these. So the last thing I do once I have my line art done is I take the frame and I group it on top of the line art, because I'm going to drop all of my color objects in with the line art, so it'll clean it up nicely. And let me show a completed comic real quick here. Did I move it? Seriously? Oh, darn it. I cleaned up my... Okay. Well, I cleaned up my desktop, so it's not going to be easy for me to actually get to Let's go into Webcomic. It's going to be a mess. And it's going to take forever. So let's go down here. Oh, this is a good example. I'll just grab this one. So this is an example of my pug comic, or a pug comic that is, here's first stage, here's second stage, where actually second stage is finished line art. Third stage is completed line art. And then once I have this line art completed, I create versions for different social media. So like these right here are going to be on Instagram and TikTok, and I just do a carousel for those, because oftentimes my comics won't fit on just one page. It'll be too small. You'll have to blow it up, and the Instagram interface is a little finicky, and so I split apart each frame, and then I put on a call to action at the end here, and then so that'll be, each one of these will be its own artboard here for the Instagram, and then this one I'll probably just make as one, and I'll crop it down to something like here. I do want to keep him in here, so it'll be smaller, and I'll have all of the characters central, but there will be a lot of space up here to get them all in. But yeah, that's and then the frames clean everything up nicely. It makes it easier for me to replicate the frames and bring them onto different artboards. I don't have to fight a bunch of different layers when I just have everything grouped nicely. And you can kind of see that here. You see all my different groups. All of those are the frame levels. And I don't need to save that, and I can close this. And then another thing that's good is that this version that I make right here, the first version, is what I call the print version, which goes into these. And you can see an example of that here. Now, I'm glad you like it, Foxy. You can check out all of my comics. They're all available online at becute.com, and you can go all the way back to the beginning. I have probably more than 500, I think, somewhere around there. You can also see how the characters have grown, because at the very start, Floofs didn't exist, Coconut didn't exist, and because I've been doing these since about, well, I started trying to make comics in around 2010, and I was just using keyboard and mouse in Illustrator, and that was very difficult. It took me a long time to make those early comics. And then around 2016-ish, I got my first tablet, and that really accelerated my drawing. I started daily drawings in late 2015, and that really helped accelerate how fast I can draw and make comics. And then I started doing weekly posts, and then I went to twice weekly, and I've scaled it back to once weekly now, but I do want to get back to twice weekly again. But right now there are new comics on Fridays. They're usually Tuesdays and Fridays. I will get back to Tuesdays as well soon. Yes, I do, yeah. I also do some freelance work, but it's all kind of in the same area. I do comics and character design and that type of stuff for other companies. But mostly is this. But I do have to shut down the stream now. I'm running a little bit late. Let me go ahead and do my ending screen here. I will be back on Tuesday if you want to see more drawing. I stream Tuesdays and Thursdays. Is that right? Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I usually try to start a little bit before noon Central Time. Go for about 2-ish hours. I'm right now at about just a shade under 2 hours. I had to cut the stream a little early today, but yeah, if you want to see this comic finished up, you can check out any of my social media. They go live Friday morning, and if you look at the website, they go up a little bit earlier than everywhere else on there, just because how it schedules out. And I never changed it, so but yeah, let me go ahead and go to my ending screen. There we go. you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the stream and seeing me make some webcomics. I will be doing more webcomic stuff next Thursday. Tuesday is probably going to be other drawing creative stuff, definitely something Halloween. And next Thursday is going to also be a Halloween-y comic because that's in prep for Friday, which is Halloween, so perfect timing on that. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. Foxy, Aiden, Dee, if you're still in here, any of my lurkers, thank you so much for joining me. I always enjoy your company and chat, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.